Hey guys, yeah, halfway through this grueling month, January. We had a break last weekend, and this weekend getting cold, and we're getting some snow, 3 to 6 inches. Not a big storm, but um, just enough here to whatever it is here. So the topic of this weekend is Europe, and it's about how they should go back to IPs, and nostalgia has its values. And go to Disney here. I mean, Star Wars, I think it deserves a couple of hideous rests here. Um, I wouldn't say 2022 they return, but maybe 2025 like this, because they have a lot of things. But what Disney should bring is, restore some of the classics. Dumbo. I mean, I think they've already done Snow White, but not quite the same as the Seven Dwarfs here. Um, But I think they could remaster Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, maybe live action. I'm not sure, but I'm not sure if it's the same timeline as the Henchmen here. But anyway, yeah, Snow White, Dumbo. I think they've done Cinderella. They certainly done The Lion King and The Little Mermaid and Aladdin. Made that live action. But yeah. Anyway, but there's one thing they should bring back, and that is Roger Rabbit. Roger Rabbit was released 32 years ago. I think about 32, 33 years ago, 31, 32 years ago. But the plot of that story was it was an Eddie Valiant. It started off as a opening cartoon with the baby Herman grabbing the cookies, and Roger was going after him after the mother said, "Oh, he's going to get us like that here." And then all hell broke loose, and then it cuts off to the refrigerator. And when it dropped the refrigerator, it cuts into the main movie. But what I like to, so this is a sequel that I like to see here. They're throwing up the scripts in the sequel, but what do I like to see in the sequel? All right. Um, for one thing, there's one character that I like to see more attention. That's Bongo the gorilla. I like for them to have more of a footprint in this movie. The only Bongo the gorilla is like a mighty gorilla who threw Eddie Valiant out of the ink and paint club for peeping into a door, taking photos of Roger and Cadessa Rabbit. I don't know. But yeah. But here's the challenges on the sequel. Well, Eddie Valiant can't be. I don't think Eddie Valiant can be. Well, Eddie Valiant will have to be recasted or send off here, or maybe just written off or whatever it is, because the actor Bob Hoskins is deceased. So that's another. That's one of the obstacles here. The other obstacle is Mel Blanc, who was the voice of Bugs Bunny, Pussycat, and others in the Looney Tunes. He's deceased back in 1989. That's one of the things here. But I like to see in the script in the next Roger Rabbit is a new area that they could be doing. Now, the first one had Toontown, which had all the Disney and even some Looney Tunes characters coming in here. But I like to see what new here is. One of the plot story I'd like to see on the new Roger Rabbit movie is that Maroon Cartoon is now having competitors called Digitoons, or I think it's called Digitoon. I don't know what it is. It's Digitoons. I did this here, and it's a competing with new technology in Roger Rabbit, and it also has a new IP, which is a digital competitor of Roger Rabbit, as well as the lady and the baby. The Roger Rabbit version is Roger Rabbit, Roger Rabbit, Jessica Rabbit, and Baby Hermit. The new one could be a version that says, "Hey, it's a baby that's cuter," and there's women and another rabbit, like Reiko Rabbit or whatever it is here. They're competing against Toontown, but and then we have another enemy. Maybe it might be because they could bring back Judge Doom because Christopher Lloyd is still alive today. He was the one that played Judge Doom back in Roger Rabbit. And yeah, it's actually the same person had played Doc Brown in the Back to the Future series. So yeah, Christopher Lloyd could be coming back here. I think he may be still active. I don't know if he's acting over here. Or if not, they can just send in a new villain. He's bigger, badder, and like this here. They could bring back the Dip to as a way to kill cartoons. And even delete Liquid, which is, or a virus liquid that could delete the CGIs here. And yeah. That's like, one of the things that's like, one of the things here. And I think a Roger Rabbit sequel would be appropriate for a reunion between Disney, Looney Tunes, and DreamWorks. Like DreamWorks could bring Shrek, Puss in Boots, and like that Madagascar like this in here as a cameo appearances towards like that. And Disney can, as well as Disney and Looney Tunes could bring back, DuckTales and Daffy Duck, Bugs Bunny, Woody Woodpecker, Mickey Mouse, and all the stuff here. It was kind of a really sweet time for the industry and Roger Rabbit to bring back the sequels here. So to bring back, and it's like a kind of a union between, it's kind of the things that they've actually worked together. And for the film studios, and it was and like this here, but Disney would bring it up and host the new Roger Rabbit movie here. But that's kind of the sequel I love to have here. Maybe it's a time, it's 30 years later, that it would also bring some new characters from, and it's yes, kind of like, where Walt Disney, I think it was Touchstone Pictures here. Disney just have Touchstone Pictures, so Disney just has the Roger Rabbit area. That one's created here. So yeah, I think a new Roger Rabbit movie would be great. Disney said no, but I think it's probably time. But a sequel is good if it's done right. Don't rush things out there. I mean, this is what I'd like to see. So yeah, again, what I'd like to see in a sequel, more screen time for Bongo the gorilla, who will also play a role. Kind of like a tip-off of Star Wars' Chewbacca. Bring Bongo the gorilla. Maybe the Ink and Paint Club has gone out of business because whatever between the original movie and my planned sequel, because 30 years later, the Ink and Paint Club is kind of out of business here. Or after that, Bongo the gorilla says, "Hey, I'm just I think they've replaced me here, and I say I want to go to another job and maybe perform and join in with Maroon Cartoon and also perform for the series here." Speaking of which, I'd love to see Bongo the gorilla in its own film like this as a Roger Rabbit spin-off. That could be a good character for doing it. And yeah, even though the only two times we've seen Bongo the gorilla besides the ending, is to make the final cameo appearance, is request Eddie Valiant a password. Eddie Valiant says Walt sent me to come in to bring back the Incomplete Club, and then Bongo the gorilla kicks him out after Eddie peeps into a door window, like that. See, I would love to see more, a lot, I like to see that gorilla front and center of the sequel. So yeah, and once again the challenge is Mel Blanc is dead. Yeah, he's deceased back in 1989. The voice of Bugs Bunny, like that here. So yeah. So it'd be interesting. And so, yeah, I think the second sequel, because of that, it would become the first time ever we could see three layers of the three pillars put into one: live action, animated cartoon, and CGI. And that's a really big challenge, is because I mean, you have to. I mean, it's really really tricky because I mean you have to record live action first, and then you have to put CGI characters in the appropriate spot in the cartoon, and also it's and also the other thing is you have to it kind of like easier because you don't have to really put contraptions to for the CGI to appear that, because the cartoon and CGI. You just have to draw it and animate it like that. That's here. Hey, imagine Roger Rabbit. A cartoon character interacting with a CGI character. That'd be the first time that ever happened here. So, bring on the supercomputers. Bring on the paper the ink, the cell sheets, and the paintbrushes, and yeah. It'd be free technologies gone together. It would be to do with the Roger Rabbit here, and that is what I love for a sequel. And I mean that's it here. Roger Rabbit sequel. I love for Walt Disney to bring that back, and that's what it is here. All right. Let me see. That's it for Roger Rabbit. A couple news bits here. There's news that the Switch's lineup is terrible. I really want to see a Mario Maker 3D. It's really nice that makes Nintendo sprites over here, but yeah, a couple of things here. But I would love to make a 3D level at Mario Maker. I mean, that's great, like this here. I like to see a Donkey Kong Maker. Like, make my own Donkey Kong Country levels. I like to see that. And, of course, the Zelda Maker. I think I wanted to have that as well. And Metroid Maker. So it's I think it's Nintendo's finally going into the foray of create, play, and share towards the things of Mario Maker 2, and finally they're adding content to Mario Maker. Zelda sequel, I'm not sure it's coming out here, but it's just that this year right now is just looking blah. The lineup here. I'm not sure when Dreams is coming out. For the PS4. Why do we have to wait 7-8 years since the first announced? Like, don't announce a game. Like, just, have a wording announcement, not like the presenting here. Says maybe just a couple of wording announcements that we're starting development for this type of game, but don't show it off like it's going to be coming out tomorrow if it's not coming out in several years here. So this is me, JD, out in this middle of January. Cold, but I've been out in worse. And yeah, lake is kind of semi-frozen. The ice is not thick enough to support me, of course. I mean, it's like that. You just it's maybe a thin layer of ice. So yeah. Halfway through the finish line of this dreadful month. Again, it's me, JDL. I've seen it here, and it's cloudy. Another snowstorm on the way.